Councillor Moore. Okay. Yep. Okay. Let's go back to 21/28/11. If you'll just bear with me. As you know, at the last meeting, I made a statement regarding some information that we had. We found that quite a lot of people didn't hear very well on the recorded details that went onto YouTube. And what we wanted to do is make sure that everyone can hear on the recording that will be posted later this evening. Ashley has checked, and we hopefully have, just let me sort myself out, we hopefully have a working system that the sound will be perfect so everyone can hear what's being said. Similarly, a number of residents were aware of what had happened in the past to cause the situation where we got to. I will try and get through this quickly, so if you have any questions, please leave them till the end. This summary is not all-encompassing. There is other stuff going on, but I'm just giving the salient facts. A councillor self-disqualified by not attending an HPC meeting for 6 months. Councillors Moore Sampson suggested after 4 months to the chair, Councillor Tolver, to contact this councillor due to the 6-month rule, a danger of disqualification. His response was, it won't come to that. In June, the clerk advised that said councillor that they had self-disqualified. He'd already checked with CEC Democratic Services, Cheshire Association of Local Councils, the National Association of Local Councils, his union, his association, and all stated that he had acted as the parish clerk should, and it was not his job but the law. Councillors Tolver Brewerton and Burkhill ignored her self-disqualification and refused to accept the situation. Due to the pressure that the three were putting him under to reverse the situation, even though he legally could not reverse that situation, the clerk was suffering stress and unfortunately reported sick. That's why they then began planning to sack the clerk. We have email evidence to that effect, for doing his job. The 3 councillors suspended the clerk and arranged to have him investigated by an investigative agency. In January, an investigation firm was appointed by the 3 councillors, as you're aware from that last meeting. A contract was signed to pay the company a large amount of money over a 5-year period. This was done despite the protests and requests of councillors Moore, Sampson and myself to see details of the contract. We weren't allowed to. And the way that this was done bypassed all the council's legal procedures, such as requesting tenders and gaining approval from the full council. I've received a letter from a solicitor, which I would say has no private and confidential on it, and that is to me, so it's mine. I can do what I want with it. Dear Councillor J. Smith, and this is from Paul Downborough Solicitors. Our client, Mr. Allard Brewerton. Private emails obtained and read out in council on 14th of September. I'm instructed by Mr. Allard Brewerton, who is deeply concerned regarding the illegal interception, sharing and public disclosure of his personal email address. His personal email address has not been disclosed, not by anyone that I know of. This pertains to the public reading out from his personal email account concerning a agenda item, etc., in an HPC council meeting that I understand you chaired. Now, there are some strange typos in this letter, which make me think that it might not have been written by a solicitor, but who knows. The details of his email were disclosed regarding a contract entered in 2021, question mark, brackets, or 2020, brackets. This is a matter that I understand is being formally investigated and subject to official scrutiny, brackets, by whom, close brackets. I know of no such investigation, which I think answers your question, no such investigation into the details of his email. My client has reviewed both the video and transcript of this part of the meeting. I am instructed that it is claimed by you that the council received these emails from a journalist working for the Sunday newspapers in London. Well, they only work for one of them, who had acquired them via a Freedom of Information Act request. Now, I don't remember saying that I'd received them from the journalist. I believe that what I said was, and you may remember, is that because of the request by the journalist, this information became public 21. So that was what I recollect. Next paragraph. Given that our investigation, brackets, which is what, close brackets, shows that these emails only subsisted on private email addresses and were not in the possession of a public authority. That's not true. These emails were not, they were on a public authority. They were on the HPC server. So anything that's on the HPC server belongs to HPC. Is that a reasonable way to say that? Thank you. And then he says, I am concerned that the source described by you is highly improbable and not plausible. So apparently they don't believe that I received them as a result of a journalist requesting for them. Once he'd requested them, that information was public forum. It's available. So I got it from a very good source. My client has very real concerns which are as follows. How were these emails acquired? Well, they were on the server. What is the identity of the source of these emails? HPC. When did these emails come into your possession? April. What checks, if any, did you carry out to ensure that they had been acquired properly? Well, they were part of an FOI. Will you please send me all email correspondence that you hold which involves Mr. Brewerton, my client, and councillors Burkhill and Tolver, as I understand they are also drawn into this disclosure? Well, if they want me to send all email correspondence for those three individuals for the last 6-7 years, that's going to be a lot of emails. I shan't bother. For your information, Mr. Brewerton has taken advice from the Information Commissioner's Office, and he is aware of the time constraints that exist for a response to be forthcoming from you. If it was an FOI, there would be time constraints. It's a letter. I can do with what I like. Mr. Brewerton and councillors Tolver and Burkhill have every right to expect that their privacy is protected and GDPR rules complied with. This is my client's proper concern, which they have been. Please be advised that as these emails have been taken out of private email accounts, no they haven't, not controlled by a public authority, yes they are, HPC, and as such, no individual person has the right to share or publish them. We can because they're part of an FOI. I respectfully request that you cease and desist with immediate effect any further attempt to share, publish, or disclose any private emails that you have in your possession, failing which Mr. Brewerton will seek redress against you. I will be obliged to receive your responses to my client's questions, pending which Mr. Brewerton can consider his position and the further protection of his rights. Yours sincerely. Well, he's assuming that I have a requirement to answer his questions. I don't have a need to answer any of his questions. I'm satisfied and have received information from the Information Commissioner's Office, not from one of the people who just answers the phones, but someone at a higher level, that because these emails pertain to something that has been done on behalf of the council, that it involves public funds, and that they can be named. What I'll do now is just go through just a few of the emails, if you don't mind. This is about the 5th email in, where, it's worthwhile, one that I haven't highlighted, which was sent. Brian, I am both puzzled and concerned about your email. All I needed was confirmation that your share of the council's fee would be paid. I am concerned that you are servicing an HPC debt when you don't need to. I do suggest you stop paying it now before you make yourself liable for the whole thing. In terms of passing the minutes, I do not know how we can do this, as I am no longer a member of HPC since last Sunday. Barry has stated he won't attend HPC meetings. In any event, the deal was passed 3-0, and that's the legal part. Passing the minutes only notes that which was agreed. Therefore, it's HPC's debt and not yours, which is good of them. It's not theirs. And working through this chronologically from Councillor Tolver, I'm sorry if it's going on this. We held a meeting in January which approved the contract at £125 per month plus VAT. You, Aled, were acting as clerk for the meeting but haven't yet written up the minutes. And this was in March. Therefore, we three are the only councillors that know of the existence of the contract or indeed any of the other resolutions made at that meeting. In front of all, I told Avonshire that because we did not have sure access to HPC's bank account, I would guarantee that payments would be made by myself until such time as we could get the chequebook. This was because of the urgency of getting things done and the fact that Ashley would not release the chequebook and other financial details, and we needed things done quickly. Legally, Ashley was not permitted to release chequebook, PIN numbers, or any of the council equipment that he's responsible for. He would only have been able to do that on the day of his termination. And they considered that at that time he had been reinstated from his suspension. After that, of course, was when the service we thought we were getting from Avonshire turned out to be nothing like we all expected. So action wasn't taken against Ashley. This takes us to mid-February. Since then, we have been unable to enforce anything at HPC because neither you nor Barry have been able and willing to appear at HPC meetings. And you still haven't written up the minutes. We have therefore drifted into the situation where I am paying this bill every month. HPC as a body are unaware of the existence of the contract. And the longer it limps on like this, the more set in concrete it becomes. The last possible time we have to hold an HPC meeting where we can be guaranteed to pass it for approval is up until the by-election in May. There is a regular meeting planned for the 20th of April. And it was that election in May, due to Councillor Julie Smith standing for election on the West Ward. He knew that if she was elected, his casting vote would have gone. Therefore, he wouldn't have been able to force it through with his two cohorts. We therefore still have the opportunity to confirm the minutes of the meeting of January and get the contract started in a regular fashion on HPC's book. But it requires the minutes to be written up and presented to a meeting for confirmation, and I cannot see that being agreed unless all three of us vote it in. If you two guys won't do it, then we'll be stuck with this contract, and I will be looking to you both to share the payments. Our chance to fix this by attending an HPC meeting in April will have disappeared. You may both find this option very distasteful, but the alternative is a bill that will not go away. Then from Mr. Brewerton, to say that we are the only councillors who know of the existence of this contract is quite wrong. This contract was materially voted upon on Monday the 18th of January. The vote went 3-0 in favour, with those three refusing to vote. We refused to vote because we had no knowledge of the content of the contract, and they wouldn't give it us. I chose not to write up the minutes after the conduct which we have been made subject to, which I presume is when it went viral. Secondly, John Smith will falsely accuse me of doctoring minutes again, which will lead to a critically serious situation, as I will not take that or any nonsense from that psychotic idiot. Because apparently I've been diagnosed professionally from the screen, and it's clear that I'm a psychotic idiot. I believe he said his dad did it. He must know quite a lot about psychotic idiots. There's more. Aled, why don't you just write up the goddamn minutes? And you are still a councillor of HPC. If you want to resign, you have to write to me as chair. Then there's a point from Councillor Burkhill. That would be the best way forward if Aled would write up briefly the minutes, because Brian will have to produce the evidence for the clerk anyway. I will think about doing the minutes, but I still have great reservations about doing so. Barry's way of presenting this is the best way, as the mob will simply hold a meeting and rescind everything, as they are juvenile and immature. Mr. Tolver, I cannot see how HPC can place a contract on file in a way that will satisfy the auditors without an approved set of minutes that confirm the contract was proposed, seconded, and voted for. If we can't get this on HPC's books, then we're stuck with it. The sooner we get these minutes drafted and approved, the better. And then, rather than refusing to do the minutes, I am reticent to do the minutes, as I would be accused by John Smith of doctoring them. That will not stand, and such an accusation could very well lead to a very serious situation. He does make a similar comment like that, so I'm just wondering if it's some sort of threat. One of the reasons why he finds me accusing him is because there was a meeting on the 24th of August that was minuted, or so that was clerked by a proxy clerk because Ashley was suspended. He produced the minutes, 4 pages. When we got the minutes from Councillor Tolver and Councillor Brewerton, there was a page and a half, A4 page and a half missing. All the comments that have been made by the 3 councillors here. Councillors Sampson, Moore and myself. The clerk who did the minutes also mentioned that he'd been asked by the chair to make some changes to those minutes, which to a clerk is tantamount to asking him to murder, isn't it? Then, Aled, can I make clear on the specific actions you are proposing we individually take to avoid this debt that we are currently each incurring, £50 a month? We send the copy contract to Ashley and expect him to start up a direct debit mandate in favour of Handforth, but without any minutes. Brian, after much thought, I will do a set of draft minutes to show the legality of the decision regarding Handforth, but only if the following very fair conditions are met and agreed to. Number 1, they are given to Ashley with a copy of the contract. 2, they do not go before council under any circumstances. Putting these minutes before council would be unacceptable and could lead to severe consequences. And there's that implied threat again. From the chair, I don't understand this. They have no value if they aren't placed before council. They couldn't be used to prove the contract was entered into legitimately. They couldn't be used to prove anything to the auditors. Doubly wrong there. They will be the proof of the decision, and that's all you need, and they will give you that. I know for fact that the auditors will accept this. Is my offer accepted? No. I'm stunned you've turned down my fair and sensible offer to get you away from a problem. I even spoke to Paul about this. That's his solicitor. It's your problem as well as mine. Your proposed solution is ludicrous. It has no legal validity. Nearly there. Well, there's a simple solution. If you have such faith in the legal watertightness of your proposal, you provide Handforth with a guarantee. If you have complete confidence in the solution, no reason why you shouldn't back that up. And finally, now that is without a doubt the daftest solution I've ever heard or read. I am confident in my solution, having talked it over with a solicitor, which you haven't done. Again, all you need to do is provide evidence of the decision and nothing else. Even if a meeting could be held and it was voted through, what do you think the mob would do? They would call a meeting and have yet another gifted platform to ridicule us and rescind the acceptance of it. Has that not dawned on you? In terms of giving Handforth a personal guarantee, I'm not making that very same mistake. What possessed you to take the decision without consulting anyone? The problem of Handforth was caused by your mistake and no one else's. I undertook to take notes but not do the minutes. There is onus or responsibility on me to do those minutes. You also have yet again failed to recognise that my credibility will be attacked by John Smith, the man you continuously give a platform to, or one of the other two. I also have to ask what team. There's no team, as Barry won't attend meetings anymore. Secondly, a team works together and you didn't work with us. An example is the video published on Handforth People. That's where we're up to. Another of the reasons why Mr. Brewerton refers to me as a psychotic idiot, and because I keep challenging him, is because I examined a report that he put together with another ex-councillor for the Action for All grant application for lifts at the station for government money. And I found that when I used the the software that, what's the word? When you copy? Plagiarize. Yes, anti-plagiarism software. When I ran that, it showed that, again, there's about a page and a half, at least, that this legal expert had plagiarised from somebody's website. And Councillor Tolver protected them from he wouldn't allow me to ever bring that up at a meeting. So I think that's one of the reasons as well that he considers me psychotic. We are still awaiting legal advice. This did happen separately. We got these emails. We got these emails as part of the FOI in April. And we were then, as you know, last month was it? Oh, 9th, we get a formal notice of default on our behalf because from Avonshire, and we are awaiting legal advice from NALC. This is the National Association of Local Councils, who have a legal team, and we're awaiting legal advice from some information that we've given them. I beg your pardon? I'd be surprised if it is. This is the way that it's been put to me. But that'd be for a solicitor to advise if it is or not. Alan? I'm ahead of you there, mate. Yes, absolutely no response whatsoever. Yeah. Quite right. Yes. Yeah, unfortunately, they're going to take us to court, and we can't allow the council to be subject to a CCJ. Well, we will be ready for them should they take us to court. We have lots of evidence. We even have a copy of the contract, which is illegible. How they can enforce an illegible contract, I don't know. But despite repeated requests, still not giving us a contract we can read. So, do they? Well, Avonshire is saying that they don't have a copy of the contract. That's the only one they've got. Oh, yes. But we will be ready. If we have to, we will have our day in court, and we will produce all the evidence that we have, and hope that whoever is presiding has an understanding of the real world rather than just contract or tort law. Oh, yes. And we would be ready with a check that if it went against us, we can dispatch our debt immediately. The debt, yes. Somebody about to say something.
I just want to say that I think it's disgraceful, and I don't think that our constituents should have to foot this bill. And we need to do everything in our power to make sure that we are not held responsible for this debt.
I concur with Councillor Smith.
It should be noted as well that once they'd agreed this contract, it didn't take very long for them to work out that it wasn't going to do what they wanted them to do in the first place. So how you would think that, well, it looks all right, we'll do that, shall we? And again, as I mentioned, the three of us were not able to have any details of that. In fact, it was the employment committee, if you will, who consisted of Councillors Burkhill, Brewerton and Tolver, and another member of that employment committee was Councillor Sampson. She was not allowed sight of any documentation or accusations against Ashley unless she signed a non-disclosure agreement, which legal eagle thought that one up, I wonder. Comment from Mrs. Walsh.